Iraqi women has had to overcome in the 40 years a lot of violence through wars, civil wars, and of course violence based in the family. And creative writing workshops really help to overcome traumata which they experienced, especially the incredible and disastrous violence that Yazidi women experienced from the genocide of Daesh. In dialogue programs, Iraqi women from all regions of Iraq developed their demands for a peaceful country and a country free of violence. Iraqi women are really ready to build up a sustainable and livable world. This year marks the 20th anniversary of the adoption of the UN Security Council Resolution 1325 on women, peace and security. This landmark resolution acknowledged the effects of conflict on women and outlined political guidelines to ensure women's inclusion and participation in peace-building initiatives. Our ideas and plans for this conference on Resolution 1325 have changed a lot since the moment when we first started thinking about it. In the summer, we were all still planning for the conference and to meet you in Baghdad for the 20th anniversary of this resolution. And we wanted to talk to you and to discuss with you, have exciting panels, discussions in Baghdad. COVID-19 prevented us from realizing this plan. But we are very happy that we see so much interest in this conference, despite the fact that it is taking place online. Earlier this week, we counted over 300 registrations. And I think today in the live stream it will be even more. We interpreted this number of interested people, many, mostly of them women, as a sign that women really want to build up a peaceful society in Iraq. And furthermore, nowadays, they are really particularly affected by COVID-19. Iraqi women went through 40 years of violence, and now they are facing again the risk of domestic violence in violence on the street by COVID-19. It is often said that Iraqi is a divided society. This is the negative side of a country that has been suffering from many ethnic and religious conflicts. But the very same country also has a lot of positive things on offer. Iraq is a very diverse country, which presents many opportunities because it's many ethnic minorities and different religious groups. The different cultural ways of life in urban and rural areas also embody a great wealth in terms of culture and in their intellectual skills. Moreover, it has long been proven women can reconcile societies if they are allowed to do so. Many peace agreements, such as in Sudan or Liberia, have come about through women standing up against suffering and violence. And it is proved to many researchers that peace agreements where women are included are sustainable. We are convinced that dialogue between parliaments, governments, and civil society contributes to peaceful societies and positive societal change. Women from all regions of Iraq, from all minorities and religions, have proven numerous times that they jointly develop common visions and concrete proposals for peace and the realization of the rule of law, as well as reconciliation and participation. This conference offers an opportunity for all of us to discuss in many exciting panels how women can develop equitable solutions for achieving peace. At this point, I would like to thank the GIZ and the Ministry for Cooperation and Development for enabling us to realize this project, Women Talking Peace. In particular, I would like to thank Susan Leichtweiss for her really great support. The Federal Foreign Office for its long-standing and continuous support of our work in Iraq. Kinda, who will be moderating this conference, thank you so much. Video journalist for the technical implementation, Solo Creative Studio in Baghdad for this design. Nicola Abbas and Gerd Himmler for ensuring our linguistic understanding through simultaneous interpretation. And especially I have to thank our great multinational team of elbarlament in Berlin, Nasria, and Erbil. First of all, Michaela Eckert, Aya Tudunji, Magdalena Mina, Rua Alamin, Rahma Hamad, Barasari, and Michelle Alkuri and Rosa Hassel. I wish all of us an interesting conference. Enjoy it and thank you.
Okay. So thank you very much Birgit. شكرا للدكتورة بيرغيت لوباخ رئيس المجلس التنفيذي لمنظمة البرلمان. والآن مع كلمة الدكتور علي يوسف
Now we have the speech of Ali Shukri, Senior Advisor to the President of the Republic, who is going to join us within a couple of seconds.
سيد
Ali Yusuf Shukri, Senior Advisor to the President of the Republic, who is going to join us within a few moments to speak to us.
في المؤتمر السلام عليكم.
Hello, السلام عليكم.
أشارككم أعمال المؤتمر بإلقاء كلمة سيدة العراق الأولى الدكتورة سرباغ صالح التي حرصت على المشاركة في أعمال المؤتمر لولا الظرف الاستثنائي
insistent on participating in this conference had it not been for the circumstances preventing her from participating in it. In the beginning, she extends her warmest greetings and thanks to the German government and to the German ambassador to Iraq and the organization elbarlament for the enormous efforts undertaken to having organized and prepared this conference and to having come up with results which aim at reinforcing the role of women in building peace and security. Through remembering the UN Security Council Resolution 1325 of 2000, the efforts to achieve sustainable peace cannot be achieved without incorporating the participation of women through all its diverse factors. And I'm very convinced that this is about the security of our country, which cannot be realized without the security and the safety of women. The UN Security Council Resolution 1325 and the following resolutions have marked a landmark in fighting
وكان العراق في
the
طليعة
violence
الدول
against women
التي
and the suffering of
تبنت هذا
women in
القرار.
armed conflicts.
وعمل
And
على تهيئة
the UN Security
مستلزمات
Council resolution
إنقاذه
has been adopted by
من
a
خلال
number of
إعداد
countries,
الاستراتيجية
and
الوطنية
it has been further
للحقوق
reinforced
المرأة.
in Iraq also
ومن أجل
by
إنجاح
by
وإنفاذ
working
هذه
out the national
الاستراتيجية
action plan
شكل
on
الفرق
implementing
الوطنية
these resolutions.
وعقد العديد
And there
من
are
المؤتمرات
also
والورش
a number of conferences and working groups which have been set up and have been held,
الندوات والملتقيات
and
داخل
meetings
العراق
have been held
وخارجه.
within Iraq and outside Iraq to further
لكننا
advance
نعتقد
the
أن
implementation
دور
of these
المرأة
plans.
لن يكتمل
But
في
we are
الحياة
still
بجوانبها
convinced that the role
دون
of women
ضمان أمنها
cannot
والحد من
be
العنف
fully
الممارس
achieved
ضدها
without
والظروف
achieving her
الاعتيادية
safety and security
ومفردات
and
الحياة
protecting
اليومية.
women from violence
وغير
in
بعيد
her
عن
daily life.
العالم تعرض المرأة العراقية
It's
كما
not
نظيراتها
surprise
في
to
البلاد العربية
women in the
وبلدان
world
العالم
that women in
للقهر
Iraq
والاضطهاد
and in
والاستغلال.
other Arab countries and as well as all over the world
فكانت الشريحة
are
الأكثر
exposed to
تضرراً
exploitation,
خلال الحروب
and that
التي خاضها
women were
النظام
always
السابق
the
وعلى
most
مدى
affected
4
parts of the
عقود.
population in
ولم
all the
تكن
wars and
بعيدة
conflicts
عن
the
بطش
Iraq
المستبد.
has experienced over the
فقد اعتلت
past
مئات
decades.
النساء حبال المشانق
And hundreds of women have been hanged under the dictatorial regime and the despot. And they also had their fair share in the worst days of the fate of Iraq. And they also participated strongly in opposing this regime. And they suffered just as much as men during the sanctions and the embargo imposed, as well as under the wars. And they fought for the best interest of their families side by side with the men, never forgetting what they needed to do to protect their women, their families, and what they needed to protect them from poverty. And I'd also like to mention the humanitarian catastrophe which was brought upon Iraq by the terrorist organization of ISIS, by killing and destroying the most basic needs of human existence. All these catastrophes, which are going to be remembered by humankind, also respecting the role of women within fighting this. And after 2003, when the regime changed in Iraq, we also aimed in Iraq at promoting the role of women and to get rid of the remains of what had been created under the despotic regime. And this is particularly being seen in the parliament, where 25% at least of the seats are supposed to be held by women. Also in the regional parliaments, this is going to be incorporated. And in the constitution, this percentage was raised to 40%. And I'd also like to point out the role of Iraqi NGOs, which are interested in the cause of women, which have contributed with numerous and strenuous efforts to promote the role of women in society and within households. These organizations have been exposed to numerous obstacles and challenges without forgetting their historic mission. So now we have been able to achieve this very honorable position we have reached now. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to wish all the organizers of this conference the best of success, to be able to promote and reinforce the idea of the culture of the worth of women and the rights of women, be it in remembering the UN Security Council Resolution 1325 and to have these adopted by concerned governments. I'm looking forward to more international efforts to transport the rights of women as a concern and a very important issue towards to the front lines. Thank you very much and all the best to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ali Shukri, who read out the speech of the First Lady. And we in the region are really ambitious to achieve these goals that were mentioned. And now we are listening to the speech of the German ambassador in Iraq. The speech is recorded and now it is shown.
Honorable First Lady, dear Dr. Salih, dear Dr. Laubach, ladies and gentlemen, I am proud to participate here today, feeling totally safe and relaxed. Why, you ask? Because I am surrounded by a bunch of strong, courageous, and formidable fighters. Fighters? Yes, women are born fighters. From early on, they observe survival tactics. From girlhood, they learn how to build resilience. Recently, I read The Beekeeper of Sinjar. It was hard to bear to read vivid descriptions of horrific acts of violence against women and girls. And this is not only about obvious and crude acts of physical violence. There are many ways to discriminate against and hurt women, many of them hardly visible. Even in everyday life, women must face challenges, fight resistance, and develop strength. In many cases, I, as a man, may not even be conscious that these challenges exist. Women may, for example, be excluded from political decision-making. They may not be given a voice, or their voice may end up being ignored. Or their existence may simply be denied, their needs be overlooked. So yes, fighters is the right word for women and girls. I feel honored and glad to be invited to speak to you and participate in this conference. 20 years ago, the UN Resolution 1325 on Women and Peace was adopted. It has not lost any of its urgency. Women on the whole world still have to bear with war, violence, and antagonism just because of their gender. This is inconceivable and it must end. We must do something. We must do more to end discrimination and violence. Iraq was the first country in the Middle East and North Africa to adopt a national action plan for the implementation of Resolution 1325. At present, the second national action plan is ready for adoption. This plan was developed in a very open process, as it should be. Its creation involved women's organizations, governmental organizations, and women from parliament. It includes many important action items. Women must be included in decision-making. They must be given access to job opportunities, political posts, healthcare. These are completely reasonable rights to expect being granted for any person. This is where the good news ends, I'm afraid. These rights are not yet by any means implemented in favor of women in Iraq. Equality and participation of women are still not implemented. Women are still victims of violence. The domestic violence law has not been adopted yet. The COVID crisis is aggravating the situation for women and girls even further. Local lockdown measures and the added stress of the pandemic have increased domestic violence, exposing especially women and girls to violence. Women's incomes and livelihoods have been more affected by coronavirus prevention measures than those of men. Their situation has to improve. Germany, ladies and gentlemen, has been women's ally. As a UN Security Council member, Germany has worked to enhance implementation and urge further development of the Agenda 1325. We have launched open discussions in the Security Council about women's rights and to support women's rights initiatives. And Germany will continue to be women's ally. Here in Iraq, we run several projects related to women's rights and representation. We actively advocate for women's rights and girls' rights. We call for appropriate measures to protect women. Your fight, ladies, is not over yet, but we will be at your side. In this spirit, I'm wishing you a productive and interesting conference, and all of us a tangible effect of our joint work on reality. Thank you. Shukran jazilan.
شكرا جزيلا للدكتور أولي.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ole Diehl, the German ambassador in Iraq, who greets the fighting women, and we know that they should be in the center of political decision, and Germany is one of the ally states for women, and that support their fight for their rights. Now speaks Mrs. Susan Leichtweiss, and she is responsible for the GISS program of international cooperation in Iraq. Thank you very much.
Yeah, a speedy recovery and all the best. I welcome Dr. Ali Youssef Al-Shukri on her behalf. I also welcome Ms. Entisa Al-Jbouri, Ambassador Dr. Ole Diehl, Dr. Yusra Al-Alaq. Distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, I am very happy to be here today and welcome you to this important conference on the women, peace and security agenda. It is great to see so many dedicated and strong experts from Iraq and the region, and that are committed to strengthen the equal participation of women in peace initiatives across Iraq. I would like to especially thank elbarlament, Dr. Birgit Laubach and your highly motivated team for organizing this great event that is part of a greater project called Women Talking Peace, which is funded by the Deutsche Gesellschaft für internationale Zusammenarbeit on behalf of the government of the Federal Republic of Germany. In 2020, many anniversaries for important women's rights milestones are taking place. 25 years ago, at the 4th World Conference on Women, representatives from 189 nations adopted the Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action. 5 years ago, the United Nations adopted Agenda 2030 for Sustainable Development. And of course, and that is why we are here today, this year marks the 20th anniversary of the adoption of the United Nations Security Council Resolution 1325 on women, peace, and security. But despite these great achievements, we see every day that there is still a long way ahead of us before women actively participate as equal partners in politics, conflict prevention, peace building, and rehabilitation. Even with growing evidence that women's participation helps ensure that peace agreements are concluded and that peace is more sustainable, women are still mostly excluded from peace processes, their expertise is overlooked, and their interests ignored. As head of the GISS program strengthening the participation of women in the rehabilitation and peace process in Iraq, I, together with my great team, am looking forward to working with our partners from the Iraqi government and the civil society on this important topic and support them in their efforts to achieve the goals set out in the resolution 1325. We need a huge alliance of like-minded actors of all parts of society to overcome gender stereotypes and harmful norms that are an obstacle for development, peace, and gender equality. For the next 2 days, I wish us a fruitful discussions and plenty of opportunities to share our experience with each other. Thank you.
Thank you very much وشكرا جزيلا للسيدة سوزان Leichtweiss.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Susanne Leichtweiss, the director of the GIZ in Iraq, for her speech. And we start this day now with a number of things that refer to the challenges that are the result of the implementation of Resolution 1325. And during the next hours, we will have two panels. The first about the challenges and the obstacles in the implementation of Resolution 1325. And we have participants from Iraq who speak about this, about their experience in Iraq. This is the next panel, and then we'll have a